The E16 between Bergen and Oslo is one of Norway's most scenic main routes, combining dramatic fjord landscapes with towering mountains. This ancient route has connected Norway's two largest cities for hundreds of years. We will show what you see along this route through fjords and mountains. This video is sponsored by the Fjord Mountain Route by JVB Travel. The E16 is the main road between Bergen and Oslo. It is longest of all routes between Oslo and Bergen, but longest means more things to see. From the major mountain passes between Oslo and Bergen, Filefjell, where the E16 passes, is usually the last one to close when there is a snowstorm coming. The route takes you through some of Norway's most spectacular landscapes, from coastal fjords through deep valleys, past thundering waterfalls, over mountain plateaus and along mirror-like lakes. The total distance is around 470 kilometers, which takes about 7 to 8 hours of pure driving time. But then you haven't seen much. Take a couple of days or even 2 weeks if you want to discover all the hidden gems along the road. If you don't want to drive, you can also take the express bus line along the route. It's as scenic as the train between Bergen and Oslo. Throughout the video, we will refer to other videos with more details about specific locations. You will find the links in the boxes above and in the description. We start our journey in Bergen, Norway's second largest city. Unfortunately, the first stretch between Bergen and Voss doesn't contain any well-known tourist attractions along the E16 itself. Most towns have an industrial history dating back to the late 19th century. You will find more about that in the Explore Norway app. South of the route there is also the Gamle Vossabanen, a heritage railway from 1883. During summer they run steam trains on Sundays. Voss is a major center in western Norway, located about 100 kilometers from Bergen. The town, properly called Vossevangen, sits beautifully by the lake Vangsvatnet. Most people simply call it Voss, as does the railway station. Just above the station you'll find Voss Gondol, a cable car that opened in 2019. It replaced the old Hangurbanen, which locals called Dinglo og Danglo. The cable car has 9 cabins, each carrying up to 34 people, and takes you to the summit of Mount Hanguren. At the top, you'll find the starting point for many mountain hikes, from easy family-friendly walks to challenging summit climbs. In winter, this is where you can do alpine skiing. Voss is known as Norway's extreme sport capital. Check our videos about Voss if you want to learn more about the place. Right after Voss, there will be Tvindefossen, one of Norway's most famous waterfalls. It's right next to the road, but if you want to stop, there is a small parking and bus stop there. As usual, the waterfall does not have the same activity throughout the year, but it has most water in case of heavy rain or when the snow above is melting. As you continue from Voss towards the fjords, you'll reach a roundabout at Vinje. Here you can turn off towards Myrkdalen, located 9 kilometers from the E16. Myrkdalen is the largest in western Norway. More snow falls here than almost anywhere else in Europe, which makes it very popular with ski enthusiasts. Continuing on E16, the roads start to climb. Off the main road you can reach Stalheim. There is a historic hotel at the top of the mountain. On the other side is the old road, which goes down to Nærøyfjord and has 14 hair needle curves. In 1980, the E16 was moved to 2 tunnels to avoid this steep, narrow and dangerous road. It was kept open until 2021, when the road authorities closed it down for motorized traffic forever. It's possible to use it by foot or on bikes. Gudvangen sits at the end of the Nærøyfjord, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, together with Geirangerfjord. The Nærøyfjord is the narrowest branch of the Sognefjord, only 250 meters wide at its narrowest point. The steep mountains on either side rise up to 1,760 meters high. The narrowness prevents cruise ships from entering, which keeps it more pristine. In 2017, the Viking village Myrkdalen was built in Gudvangen. This is a small theme park about the Vikings. It's meant that visitors interact with the Vikings to have the full experience. From Gudvangen, there are sightseeing boats over the Nærøyfjord to Flåm, or the tourist car ferry to the other side of the fjord at Kaupanger. Before we continue, we want to thank the sponsor of this video, the Fjord Mountain Route by JVB Travel. Planning a trip along the E16 can be tricky. There's so much to see, and not everyone wants to drive. The Fjord Mountain Route has the perfect solution, using the existing bus lines between Oslo and Bergen into curated packages. Everything is sorted for you: accommodation, transport, and all the highlights along the route. No stress and no missing out. Use the link in the description or the QR code on the screen to book your adventure and support this channel at the same time. Now back to the route. The Nærøyfjord is 20 kilometers long and reaches depths of over 500 meters. Together with the Geirangerfjord, it's UNESCO World Heritage listed as one of the best representations of what a fjord looks like. The fjord used to be important on the route between Oslo and Bergen. Mail was taken to the hamlet of Bakka, then rowed 45 kilometers across to Lærdal. Many animals live in and around the fjord, including seals and small whales. The landscape is dramatic, with waterfalls cascading down the steep mountainsides. Most people experience the Nærøyfjord by taking the sightseeing boat from Flåm to Gudvangen. This is part of the famous Norway in a Nutshell tour, which combines the train from Myrkdalen to Flåm, the boat through the Nærøyfjord to Gudvangen, and then the bus to Voss. This combination has been marketed for decades and is one of Norway's most popular tourist attractions. Due to that, it runs now all year round. Flåm sits at the end of the Aurlandsfjellet, a branch of the Sognefjord. There was nothing here until the famous Flåm railway was built in 1941. Then it became a railway station, a harbour and a hotel. The Flåmsbana railway is one of the world's steepest standard gauge railways. It runs from the harbour in Flåm up to Myrkdalen, climbing 865 meters over just 20 kilometers. The journey takes about 50 minutes. The route is also popular for cycling. You can rent bikes and ride down from Myrkdalen to Flåm, which is an unforgettable experience through 20 tunnels and past incredible mountain scenery. Unfortunately, Flåm has become a victim of mass tourism. Huge cruise ships with up to 6,000 passengers regularly dock here. If you're arriving by other means, check the Flåm Port Authority's website to see when cruise ships dock so you can avoid the worst crowds. The arrival of cruise ships is usually announced 12 to 24 months in advance. On the eastern shore of the Aurlandsfjord is Aurland, a small town that serves as a crossroads. From here you can take Road 50 over to Geitiryggen to Ål in Hallingdal, or continue on the E16 through the world's longest road tunnel. Aurland itself is quite small, but in recent years more accommodation has been built to cater for tourists from Flåm. The town centre with its square, church and shops is compact. Just behind it is the harbour where the sightseeing boats and the express boat to Bergen dock. Aurland is known throughout Norway for the Aurland shoe factory, which produces slippers. Aurlandsko has become a Norwegian word that is synonymous with loafers. Just above Aurland is Stegastein Viewpoint, offering one of Norway's most photographed views. A dramatic wooden platform juts out 650 meters above the Aurlandsfjord, providing spectacular panoramic views. Unfortunately, this viewpoint has become very popular. During high season, there can be traffic jams on the small road leading there, as it's difficult for cars to pass each other. You may not be able to find parking. Try to come early or late in the day if possible. For tourists without a car, There are bus tours from Flåm and Aurland. If you don't want to drive, there's also a hiking trail from Aurland, though it's quite steep. If you continue past Stegastein, you'll reach Aurlandsfjellet, the old mountain road to Lærdal. This was the main summer road until 2000, when the Lærdal Tunnel opened. The road over Aurlandsfjellet is only open from June until the first snow in September or October. There are several places to stop along this spectacular mountain road. The landscape is barren and beautiful, with snow-capped peaks and pristine mountain plateaus. Most people take the Lærdal Tunnel, the world's longest road tunnel at 24.5 kilometers. It's not just a feat of engineering, but an experience in itself. The tunnel has illuminated caves at 3 points along its length to break up the journey and reduce driver fatigue. The caves are lit in blue and yellow, creating an almost otherworldly atmosphere. The tunnel takes about 20 minutes to drive through. It's maintained at a comfortable temperature year-round and is extremely well ventilated. Lærdal is a small town by the Lærdalselva River. Until the tunnel was built, this was an important ferry terminal with connections to Kaupanger and Gudvangen. The main attraction in town is the Norwegian Wild Salmon Center, where you can learn about salmon conservation and the challenges facing wild salmon populations. Lærdal has some well-preserved wooden buildings in the old town area. There are also some nice walks along the river. From Lærdal, you have two options on how to continue, either on E16 directly to Filefjell, or via Road 52 over Årdal to Tyinkrysset and back on E16. About 30 kilometers from Lærdal, just before you would enter the tunnel if coming from the east, is Borgund Stave Church. This is Norway's most famous and best preserved stave church. The church was built around 1180 and is dedicated to the Apostle Andrew. It has never been significantly altered, which makes it unique among Norway's remaining stave churches, which you will encounter along this route. The black tar-covered exterior, the dragon heads on the roof, and the intricate wood carvings make it an architectural masterpiece. There is a small museum next to the church, where you can learn about stave church construction and history. The interior can only be visited during the summer months. Opening hours are typically from May to October. From Lærdal, you can also walk parts of the Kongevegen, the King's Road, which runs over Filefjell to Vang in Valdres. This was the historic route between East and West Norway before modern roads were built. The full route is 100 kilometers long and takes about 5 days to complete on foot. However, it is divided into 13 easily accessible sections, so you can walk just a portion if you don't want to do the entire route. Along the way, you'll pass historical sites, including Vindhella, where there are old stone walls and ruins from the medieval postal route. Vindhella is just behind the Borgund Stave Church. You can hike along the old hairpin curves and even see the original road, which was way too steep at 25%. Filefjell is the main mountain pass between Lærdal and Valdres. The E16 crosses at its highest point at 1013 meters at Varden. The road follows a valley through the mountains, making it somewhat protected from fierce winter weather. This makes Filefjell the most reliable of Norway's mountain passes. It's rarely closed due to wind or snow. The name Filefjell might be a double name, as File comes from the Old Norse fjoll, the same root as the modern word fjell. So Filefjell literally means mountain. At Kyrkjestølen, you'll find St. Thomas Church. The original stave church from around 1200 was built on what's believed to be a pagan temple site. It became famous for its supposed healing powers and hosted a huge market where drinking, fighting, and wars were so common that it was said wives packed funeral shirts when their husbands left. The priests finally had enough. The church was torn down in 1808. A modern church was built on the site in 1971. As you drive through the mountains, keep your eyes open for wildlife. Reindeer herds roam the high plateaus, and you might be lucky enough to see them crossing the road. When we take Road 52 from Lærdal along the fjord towards Årdal, this scenic route follows the Årdalsfjorden and then the Årdalsvatnet. The road hugs the shoreline, passing through small tunnels and offering beautiful fjord views. Årdal consists of two parts, Årdalstangen by the fjord and Øvre Årdal, Upper Årdal, on the other side of a lake. This is an industrial town, similar to Odda and Sauda, where aluminium is produced. On social media, you'll often see people posting pictures from Årdal and mislabeling them as Odda. The picture is usually taken at the 1,000-meter viewpoint. The old road up from Årdal has been closed to cars but remains open for walking and cycling. As the name suggests, the viewpoint sits 1,000 meters above Årdal. The views down to the fjord and across the mountains are spectacular, but you need to be prepared for a serious climb. Unfortunately, it's not easily accessible when coming by car. There is no parking at the lower end of the road, and from the upper end it's really far away. That's why most people bike there. The main reason people come to Årdal is to see Tvindefossen, Norway's highest unregulated single-drop waterfall at 275 meters. There are higher waterfalls in Norway, but those have dams above them to regulate the flow for hydroelectric power generation. Tvindefossen flows freely. The hike to the waterfall is often described as quick and easy, but those descriptions refer only to the lower viewing point. If you want to reach the new viewing platform at the top of the waterfall, be prepared for a proper mountain hike. The walk is 15 kilometers in total with a 500-meter climb. A good part of the hike is on gravel road through the beautiful Ultadalen Valley to Noraker Gård, which is closed to regular motorized traffic. From there, the trail continues to the falls. Allow about 6 hours for the complete round trip. From Årdal, the road climbs up to the mountain to Tyinkrysset. This is a major junction where several routes meet. From here you can take a detour to Eidsbugarden in Jotunheimen National Park. This is the gateway to some of Norway's most famous hiking destinations, including Bergen. We have many videos about Jotunheimen, so check our playlist for more information. During the winter you get to Eidsbugarden using special vehicles with chains. The road takes you through the municipalities of Vang and Vestre Slidre. This is a beautiful valley landscape with traditional Norwegian farms and mountains on either side. Valdres has approximately a quarter of Norway's remaining stave churches. Most are along or near the E16 route. Here are the ones in this part of Valdres. Øye Stave Church, near Lake Vangsmjøse. This church has an interesting history. Built right next to the lake in the 14th century, it started to rot and was demolished in 1727. Parts were stored under the floor of the new church and were found by a carpenter in 1935. The church was rebuilt in the 1950s and reopened in 1965. Høre Stave Church, thought to be built in the 11th century. Heavily modified in the 19th century. During renovation, coins from the 1040s were found under the church. The church is not next to E16, so you will have to make a small detour. Lommen Stave Church dates back to the 12th century, with modifications in the 18th century. The church is a bit up the road, but you can see it from the road. Most of these churches can only be visited on certain days during the summer season and are closed for the rest of the year. Check the Visit Valdres website for opening hours if you want to see more than just the exterior. There's also Slidredomen, which in contrast to the other churches is a stone church in Romanesque style. In Vang you will find the Vangstein, a stone covered with runes from the Viking-age. There is another stone covered with runes called the Einangstein in the region. It's much older, dating from the 4th century. From Vang, you can drive over Slettefjellet to Beitostølen, one of Norway's premier mountain destinations. On the way there, you will pass Myrkdalen, the highest peak in Valdres, from which you have an incredible panorama from the summit. Beitostølen is known for its skiing, both alpine and cross-country. From Beitostølen, you can access the hiking destinations in Jotunheimen National Park, including the famous Bergen Ridge. The area has around 6 to 7 winter months per year, so you really have to like winter if you live here, but it's snow safe if you can plan winter activity. On the way to Fagernes, you will see a sign to Langsua National Park. Unlike the Jotunheimen, this park is characterized by flat open plains with lonely standing mountains and virgin forest. The easiest peak to reach from here is Skage. Next is Stave Church in Fagernes, one of the oldest, dating back to the early 11th century, still in use today. From the church, you have a nice view over Fjord. The lake looks like the shape of Norway if you orient it with north on the right and south on the left. Further down is the chain of the 5 mellene. These are 5 ridge-shaped mountains, with Rundemellen being the most famous. Fagernes is the regional center of Valdres, sitting beautifully on the shore of Lake Strandefjorden. Until 1857 there wasn't much here, but then a grocery store opened, followed by a hotel. With the arrival of the railway in 1906, it became even more important as people moved in and tourists came. Today about 1,800 people live in Fagernes proper, though it serves a much larger region. Fagernes is also the home of JVB Travel, the partner behind the Fjord mountain route. Just outside the center, next to Fagernes camping, you'll find the Valdres Folk Museum. This is an open-air museum with many ancient buildings. The museum houses the national bunad collections, the Norwegian national costumes, as well as folk music, dance and musical instrument collections, making it quite a unique cultural hub. Check our video about it for more details. On a sunny summer day, you can walk through the museum's open-air exhibits and around the promontory where the museum sits, with breathtaking views of Fagernes, the lake and surrounding mountains. What Fagernes is actually most famous for is the Rakfisk Festival. Rakfisk is a local food specialty. Trout is fermented in salted water for at least 6 and up to 18 months. Every first weekend in November, around 25,000 people come to Fagernes to try the new rakfisk from 8 different makers. Over the years it has become a huge local food specialties festival, where people from the whole country present their products. It's also a huge party, with many concerts and other festivities. Hotels within 100-kilometer radius are booked out for the event, and there are rakfisk parties everywhere. Rakfisk is traditionally eaten in a lefse, which is a soft flatbread, together with onions, dill and sour cream. Norwegians usually drink akevitt or aquavit with it. More than 80% of all rakfisk production in Norway happens in Valdres, so this is definitely the heart of the rakfisk country. If you want to connect with the locals, join the party at the Rakfisk Festival. From Fagernes, we continue east along the E16 towards Oslo. When driving through Leira, you will notice some giant fish ponds right next to the road. This is Noraker Gård, one of the rakfisk producers we mentioned earlier. Here they breed the trout that ends up as rakfisk on your lefse. Above Borgund there is also Lærdal Stave Church, built around 1300. It's not used regularly anymore, but can be visited as a museum during summer. The last stave church, Lærdal Stave Church, located in the side valley of Lærdalen at the end of Valdres. The earliest parts date from the 12th century, though the church was significantly modified in the 17th century. It's still in use today. The valley is really rural and not many tourists go there. From here the landscape gradually changes. The high mountains give way to forested hills as the E16 follows the lake Sperrillen towards Ringerike. You will pass Tyrifjorden, Norway's 5th largest lake. The lake is known for Utøya Island, which holds an important place in Norwegian history and remembrance, as it was the center point of the 22nd July massacre. By the lake is Sundvolden. Sundvolden Hotel is one of Norway's oldest. It was mentioned in written sources from 1648. Right above is Kongens Utsikt, the King's View, which you reach from a short walk from Kleivstua. Not far from the E16, you'll find Tvindefossen Museum. This used to be a wood pulp factory from 1889. Today, the original machinery and buildings have been preserved as a museum. But what really makes it worth the detour is the twist, a building designed by the architects at Big that literally twists as it spans the river through the sculpture park. It opened in 2019. The art in the twist and the surrounding park is really good, and even people who aren't into art, as well as children, will enjoy it. As we approach Oslo, we enter Bærum. If you're interested in art, the Henje Onsdag Art Center at Høvikodden is worth a visit. It was founded in 1968 by figure skater Sonja Hennie and her husband Nils Onsdag. An interesting footnote: Claude Monet stayed in nearby Sandvika for 2 months in 1895, specifically to paint snow-covered landscapes. He painted 28 pictures here, including 13 of Kolsåstoppen. A square in Sandvika is named after him. If you wonder why the motorway gets so bumpy before Sandvika, the ground underneath has shifted since the road was built in the 60s, and the bridges themselves have a different problem: a concrete disease that makes them expand. The support pillars have cracked and some have broken. Vegvesenet, the state road department, has deemed them beyond saving, and the plan is to demolish them entirely when E18 is eventually put in a tunnel under Sandvika. But they can't just close them. When they shut down one bridge for a weekend in January 2026 for inspection, traffic around Sandvika completely collapsed. This is one of Norway's busiest roads, so until that tunnel is built, everyone just has to live with the current state. Our producer thinks this is the most dangerous road in Norway. Not the narrow mountain roads, but this motorway, where 100,000 cars pass every day. And so we arrive in Oslo. We have several videos about Oslo, covering the main attractions and the hidden gems, so check those out if you want to explore the city. If you watched this video to this point, then consider subscribing to this channel. We also want to thank our partner, JVB Travel, and the Fjord mountain route for making this video possible. If you want to experience this route without driving yourself, check the link in the description. We have many more videos like these 4, so watch one of them now.